Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessie, and this is my story of hope. So, I don't know about the rest of you all, but there have been several points in my life where I thought I had a plan for my next steps. And, spoiler alert, that is not how God had my life playing out. But it's been really cool and humbling to just reflect and look back on several different, what I would call key or major decisions, where just the creativity that God has showed in providing for very basic needs in a surprising way. So I thought I would share a couple of examples of that with us today. My first real major decision, I think, for a lot of people that was fully under my control was where I was going to attend college. And when I was going into my junior year of high school, I'd put a lot of thought into that decision. I had started preparing, doing my research, different schools, what I wanted to study, and how I wanted to get my foot in the door and establish social connections. And so that had been sports in my mind. And I was gonna play field hockey at either Liberty University or Pace University. And I was going to study early childhood education, which again, was kind of a selfish motivation, but I wanted summers off. So I was like, oh, I'll just be a teacher, that's fine. I can deal with other people's kids, that's great. And plot twist, my father came home after my field hockey practice. Field hockey was a fall sport when I grew up in Pennsylvania. And he was like, we're actually moving to New York in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's not what I had planned. I would miss out on that junior year season. I would not be able to play field hockey my senior year, the school that we were moving to. I attended McKeel Christian Academy in Scotia, and had a graduating class the size of about 20 people. And I attended a public high school in Pennsylvania where there was a graduating class of about 300 people. So a little bit of a shift there. It ended up playing out where my dad commuted for the first couple of months, so I finished out that junior field hockey season. And then we moved to New York. And it was an interesting experience. No shame to McKeel, but much smaller. My class happened to have 4 other girls in it out of those 20 people, and none of them played sports or had common interests that aligned with mine. So I ate lunch with the teachers and the lunch aides, and that was, again, a little bit of a humbling experience because I consider myself to be very social, very outgoing, and really wasn't clicking with any of my classmates. But God provided, and I thought I had this plan of where I wanted to go to school, everything like that. I had to stop taking all of my AP classes. McKeel didn't offer anything but one AP course. I thought I was going to graduate college early. I had all these steps played out in my mind. And I went to SUNY Cobleskill, which was the absolute best experience in New York. It just so happened that New York passed the Excelsior Scholarship. The deadline for where you had to be a resident of the state for that time period was 3 weeks from the date that we had started living in New York. So I was able to prove literally in the nick of time that I had been in the state for that amount of time. I was able to graduate from college a year early as I had planned just by doubling up on courses because I enjoyed what I studied so much. And I was able to graduate debt-free through this Excelsior Scholarship that had never happened had we not moved to New York, had this huge life change, and disrupted the plan that I thought that I had. And I absolutely loved my experience there. I have a bachelor's degree in canine training and management, which is, yes, studying dogs. Talk to me about your dogs, I love it. But a really creative solution to a problem that I thought I had solved. Fast forward a little bit, I'm graduating. I thought that I was going to train service dogs with my life. So I jump into an internship that was required, and then I got hired by that organization that I chose to work for. One of the most beautiful places in the country. I thought I had it all lined up. This is how my life was gonna go. Housing was provided. Steps were falling into place. I get there. COVID was happening, so we were very, very isolated. And thus began a chapter of my life where I had the worst mental health that I had ever experienced in my life. Very, very isolated. I was not getting along well with any of my coworkers, unfortunately. Again, just absolutely gutting for me to realize that because I consider myself to be very social, very easygoing. And that was not how it was playing out for me. loved what I did in terms of dealing with the dogs, but it was a very, very unhealthy phase of life. And I ended up getting fired. And in that exit interview, I was told that I was demeaning and difficult to work with. Again, super, super harsh criticism for me, where I stand and how I view myself, because I consider myself very easy to work with, very easygoing. So I get fired, and I have to find a new place to live. I had been living by myself there, paying rent, all that good stuff, but I didn't have a job. COVID was still kind of happening, where it was like that interesting, can we socialize again time period. So I had to move back in with my sister and brother-in-law. That God has done a great work in our life. My sister and I's relationship had been described as volatile previous to recently at that point in my life. So that was, again, a step backwards from what I saw and what the plan that I thought I had for my life. And God opened doors where I was able to have a safe place to live. I still had independence in terms of, they're not my parents, they were my sibling and my brother-in-law. So there was some type of treating me like an adult there that I was very, very appreciative of. And I started volunteering at YFC, which is where my brother-in-law worked, because I was back in the Schenectady area, somewhere that, ironically, I really, really been opposed to moving to just several years earlier. And through volunteering at YFC, I was introduced to a stellar individual that I started dating. God opening doors in surprising ways. I certainly was not looking to stay in the Schenectady area at that point in my life. I just wanted to get my feet under me a little bit, start a new career path, and see what I was trying to pursue for what my interests were. Didn't really have a stable job at the time. I was doing Instacart and different part-time things. And then my sister and brother-in-law announced, we're moving to Georgia. Whoa, I'm not moving to Georgia, but you are also my place to live. And I don't have stable income. So again, not my plan. What are we doing here, God? So I started praying, searching for apartments in the area, reaching out to people, asking if there was roommates available. Nothing was really coming to the surface. I thought that the Lord was going to provide a very nice apartment that was very reasonable in rent and very local to what I wanted to do. And that was not what happened. I was able to, when you rent and apply and stuff, you have to prove your income. And through one of the part-time jobs that I was working, I was paying for things and then receiving reimbursements. So my paychecks were heavily inflated because of the fact that I was getting reimbursed for all of the things that I was paying for. So using that to justify my income was the only way that I was accepted to this apartment complex that I had budgeted. I was going to make it work, but it was going to be really tight. And the Lord provided a new job that was what I'm still working with now, the company. And I work with people that love and support me and celebrate me and my family as if we are their own. And it's so much different from my last adult job experience. And so, in conclusion, just a couple of examples of God just define expectations for what I thought my life was going to look like and how things were going to play out. And I wanted to leave you with Jeremiah 29:11, which is, I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So my hope for all of you is that when faced with uncertainty or those disruptions of plans that we have for our lives, that we would all just trust in the fact that God will provide and defy our expectations or even what we could imagine things playing out as.